Hi, this is Professor Mueller, and I'd like to show you how to get started in Stata so that you're ready for your problem set. Today what we're going to cover is how to open Stata on your computer. What is the purpose of a do file? How do you create and save a do file? How do you access this data set using Stata? What is the purpose of a log file and how you create and save one? And then I'm going to show you an example of commenting out text in your do file. This is going to be very useful for your problem set, and I'll explain that more shortly. Okay, so first what I'd like you to do is create a folder on the desktop that's going to be used for all your do files, log files, Stata output. I called mine polystats, and when I open it, you can see that I have the states dataset in it. You're going to need the states dataset for problem set 1, so please download the states dataset into this folder from the class website. So go ahead and click on the icon to open Stata. Mine is at the bottom of my screen. So I click on it, and then Stata opens up. Stata might look a little bit differently in your computer. I set up my background and colors in the old school way. It's called retro, I believe. Your screen might look black and white. Pretty much you can adjust how you'd like this window to look like if you play around or tinker around with the preference files. But it's not really important for the purpose of learning how to code. Okay, so let's create a do file. First, you got to find the do file editor icon. That's here. Click on it. Okay, so I've clicked on the do file editor, and let's go ahead and save this do file into our polystats folder. So what I do is I open, What I do is I click on the File tab. I click on Save As. This automatically goes into my polystats folder. Be sure that you're saving your do file into the folder on your desktop. And you can verify, I have a Mac, so in this case I can see that the folder that's Stata is telling me to save into is polystats. But you might want to play around with this depending on whether Stata recognizes your folder right away. I'm going to call my do file PS1 because I'm basically setting up this do file for problem set 1. Then I click on Save. The do file is going to be useful because if you have a lot of commands that you need to run at once, it's more useful to save them so that you can redo them later, replicate your analysis, etc. In the book, they talk about using the command window, and that's okay for exploratory analysis when you're just trying to get a feel for the data. But in general, you want to save all of your commands in one place, and sometimes you want to be able to run programs overnight rather than waiting for each procedure to be finished. Also, it's more convenient for sharing your work. This is really important when you collaborate with other researchers or colleagues. Let's exit the do file real quick. So I'm going to click on this X button. I want to show you how easy it is to pull up the do file if you want to build on it later on. For example, you might only want to answer some of the problems on your problem set and then finish the rest of it later. It's really convenient to do this with the do file system in place. So we can reopen the do file by clicking the do file icon again, then clicking the open icon, and clicking on your PS1 do file. Please remember to save your work. So for example, always click on the save icon occasionally so you don't lose your work. Right now the save icon is not popping up because I haven't written anything. If I write like this gibberish and save, it'll save that gibberish. I'm going to delete that for now and save just to show you how it works. Okay, how do we open the states dataset in this do file? Well, we need some code. So we're going to open a dataset by applying the use command in our do file. I'm using the path name of my folder and then adding the states dataset at the end. Note that I'm using a Mac. If you're not using a Mac, then the code's going to be a little different. You're going to have to add the drive as well as replace the slashes with backslashes. For example, you're going to want to, if you don't have a Mac, you're going to want to use this. I'm going to comment out this text on line 3 because this will not run on my computer. So to place text in your do file that you don't want Stata to see or run, you start the text with a slash and a star. You write the text, which we already have, and then end it with the start and a star and a slash, like so. I'm just going to go ahead and add some text that says, for non-Macs, use this code to input the data set. So for non-Mac users, basically what I said you need to do is note which drive it's on and then replace slashes with backslashes. I hope that's clear. I'm going to go ahead and save this now. Let's actually open the states dataset by running this command. Remember, you just click on the do file icon. So here we have the command. We click on the do icon, and it doesn't recognize my clear because I made a mistake. The comma should be after the quotations. That was a mistake that I made. Okay, now let's save that correction. We have the states data set open now in Stata. In the variables window, you can see the names of the variables. See, we start with the variable name state, then we have region, etc. And most of the variables have labels that tell you how the variable is defined or was created. So you can see that the enrollment variable has a label that says total public school enrollment for 2011 to 2012. For the problem set, I'm going to want to see your do file. I want to know that you can run the commands. I also want to see your output. And the log file basically serves both of these purposes. It saves your commands and the output, but it doesn't save figures or graphs. Figures or graphs are not automatically saved by the log file. But for the purpose of this class, even though you're going to be coding some commands that produce figures and graphs, that's okay. I just want you to turn in the log file, and I want to make sure that when I ask you for an interpretation, that text appears in the log file. And the way for that to happen is to use these this text out feature, which is with the stars and the slashes. Okay, so what we need to do is provide some code that tells Stata to open a log file and close the log file when you're done. We start with this to create the log file. So what I'm going to do is on line 6, use the log command, which says log using. It's using the path name, again, of my polystats folder, but now it's saying I'm going to create a file that's name is Mueller _ PS1, and the SMCL suffix basically indicates that that is a Stata log file, much as doc suffix references a Microsoft Word file. The reason why I have replace afterwards is that it's possible you have another log file with the same name in that folder, and so I'm simply saying to replace it. If you're not using a Mac, you'll need to replace the slashes again with backslashes, as we did above, and define a drive in the path name of your folder. All right. Just want to save this again. And to close the log file, you're just going to type log close at the end. Let's save that. I want to show you how useful the log file can be. What if we wanted to see the frequency of each state in the sample? We could just type tab state. And if I want to remind myself what this command is doing for later reference, I could comment out that this command gives me the frequencies of states in the sample. I'm going to save this, and I want to run this do file. I'm going to click again on the do file, the execute icon. Let's open the log file to see what it has accomplished. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the log icon and click View and find the file that holds your log. So again, make sure that you're in the folder that you need to be. And I can see that I have a log file that's titled Mueller_PS1. I'm going to open that. So the log file saved the command, tab state. It saved my comment. This command gives me the frequencies of states in the sample, and it shows the frequencies of each state in the sample. Voila. What I want you to do is use these sort of commands and also to use the comment out feature to answer the questions in the problem set, so that your commands, output, and the responses to your questions all appear in one file. That's going to be the log file that you turn in. In the next lecture, we will talk more about the concepts introduced in Chapter 2 and how to apply some of those concepts in Stata. Good luck, and please don't hesitate to email us or go on to the community forum if you have any questions. Thank you.